Hi everybody, the Home Service Pro here. In today's video, I'm going to show you how to winterize a Viking hot tub. All hot tubs are very similar, so once you know how to winterize this one, you could probably do most other manufacturers. So let's get started. Okay guys, so this is the hot tub we're going to be winterizing. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and open it up. Now that I have it opened up, I'm going to go ahead and turn the jets on. And then we're going to go around and shut the power off. We'll be able to hear that the power is off because the jets will stop. So we'll go ahead and go shut that power off and I'll be right back. Guys, so on my hot tub, I have a disconnect on the outside of my deck here for the hot tub. You can hear the pumps running on the hot tub in the background here. And so you just simply open up my panel here. And as you can see in there, I've got a breaker. All I do is flip my breaker off and you just heard the pump shut down. So I know that the power to the hot tub is off at this point. So now we're gonna go ahead and close this cover back up and we're all set in there for the season. So we'll go ahead and go back up to the hot tub and get started winterizing. All right, guys, so we're gonna go ahead and start winterizing the hot tub. Now that we have the power shut off, now we gotta start draining the water out. On this particular unit over here in the corner, down low here, there's this panel you pop open and there's a hose connection down in here. I'm not gonna hook a hose to it because I'm just gonna let it leak onto the deck and it'll go down through the bottom of the deck. Once you get the cap off, this style here, you just turn this and that'll turn the water on. So we are currently draining right now. As you can see, it doesn't drain very fast. So I have a way of speeding that process up. So to speed the process up, I've got this 1.5 inch. It's just a sump pump hose is all it is. And so what you do is you take this and you've got to get the whole hose completely submerged underwater. So you're going to take the whole hose and you're just going to start shoving it down into the bottom of the hot tub. And that's just pushing the air out the other side of this hose. Once you get it most of the way submerged, then you're going to cover this end of the hose right here. Cover it up with your hand, and you're going to start pulling this hose out of the water. When you do that, it should automatically start a siphon. And as you can see, we got lots of water coming out there. And then you just got to get this hose to where it stays down in the hot tub somehow, because it's going to want to float up. Let me get this untangled here. There we go. And so I'm going to find something to set it down in the bottom, or to keep it down in the bottom there, so it keeps drawing from the bottom of the hot tub. And so what we'll do is we're going to go ahead and let this drain out. And once it's drained out, we'll be back. So I got all the water out of it that I possibly could with the hose. I still have that drain over there open. I'm gonna leave that open for the winter. But over here, if you look inside the hot tub, we sucked that down as far as we can. You can still see that there's still quite a bit of water down there in that middle area. There's no bottom drain on this. So as you can see, I got my shop vac in there. I'm gonna go ahead and climb in there with my vacuum. I'm gonna suck the last little bit of water out of there. As you can see on the seats, all these seats hold water. I did suck those out with my shop vac just to get the worst of it out of there. I'm gonna go ahead and finish sucking the water out of the bottom, and then we'll move on to winterizing the jets. So let's get this done. And obviously, if you got a bigger shop vac, it'll go a little quicker with a bigger shop vac, but all right, so we have 90% of the water out of here. There's still just a little bit down in there. I can climb down into the bottom now without getting my feet wet. We'll go ahead and finish sucking out this last little bit. All right, so we got all the water out of the bottom of the hot tub. Now we're gonna go ahead and pull the filter out of the hot tub. With this one, we simply lift up on this. This part pops off. Underneath that, there's a little grid strainer. And then the filter is under that. We're just gonna go ahead and unthread the filter. We'll pull him right on out. And we're gonna go ahead and just set him up there for now. So now that's completely pulled out. All of this stuff can be slid back into place, but first we're gonna dump some antifreeze and stuff in there here in a little bit, so I'm just gonna set this up here out of the way. So the next thing that I do is I go through with the shop vac and I'm gonna suck on every single one of these jets just to try and get as much water that may be laying in the bottom of these jets out as I possibly can. You don't have to do that. They say that they'll completely drain out. I just do it just because why not? It's easy to do. It's quick and easy. So I'll go ahead and get started doing that. I can definitely feel that I'm pulling some water out of there. If you look here, you can actually see some of the water that was coming out of there. Nope. Got to empty this again. So I'm definitely getting a fair amount of water out of those jets, so I'm going to go ahead and keep pulling on those. You can see the hose jumping. That means that we're pulling water out of it. So I'll tell you what, we're gonna go ahead and I'm gonna go ahead and suck on all these jets, get as much water out of it as I can, and I'll go ahead and I'll be back as soon as I get all these sucked out. Okay, so we went ahead and I sucked all the water I could out of all the jets with the vacuum. The next thing we're gonna do is we're gonna pop the panel off that's down here where all the pumps are, and we're gonna go ahead and disconnect the pumps just to drain the water out of the pumps. So that's our heater right there. We have a heater there, we have a pump back here, and we have a pump back in that corner over there. It's kind of hard to see back in there, but there's another pump over there. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna break these unions loose. Well, actually just off the pumps. I don't need to take it off the heater. I'm gonna take that, I'm gonna break this one loose, just to drain the water that's in the pump. And then we'll go ahead and break the one over there loose and drain those out. Then we'll go in with some antifreeze. I don't know if these channel locks will be big enough or if I have to get my bigger ones. I'll get my bigger ones out. Once you get them broke loose, most of the time you can just spin them off the rest of the way by hand. Okay, and as you can see, no water came out of that. That's a good thing. That means that we sucked most of the water out of that pump. So we're going to go ahead and break the one over there loose. Once I get that one broke loose, make sure there's no water in it, and we'll be right back. So I got both of the pumps broke loose. Neither one of them had water in them. But what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and dump some antifreeze down some of the jets and down the filter. And that's going to, if there's any water that's still trapped in the system, that'll mix it with the antifreeze and make it to where it doesn't freeze and break. But we got 99% of the water out of the system now. But we're going to go ahead and just back it up with some antifreeze. So we got just regular 50 degree or negative 50 degree RV antifreeze that we're going to use. The first gallon, I'm going to dump it right down in where the filter goes, and that's going to go right down into the pumps down below, and it'll displace any water that's still left in the pumps lower than where we broke them loose. So I went in with a whole gallon in there. And that's all you got to do there. And as you can see, we got water or antifreeze coming out this drain. So I know that it went all the way down through and all the way through. So now we know that we have antifreeze completely through that pump and we're completely winterized there. So now we're going to do the same thing. This one has a big jet right here. It's called a geyser jet. I'm going to go ahead and dump a gallon down that the same way as I did for the filter. And as you can see, that's completely full. So we're going to go ahead and dump more antifreeze just down any of the jets that we can physically get antifreeze down in. We're just going to flood these all out with antifreeze. That way, again, if there's any water left anywhere, we're mixing that with antifreeze to where it won't freeze and break. And the little bit of antifreeze that's down in the bottom of the hot tub, it's not going to hurt a thing. That can stay there all winter long, and when you fill it up, it'll rinse everything. The water will rinse it all away. This is all sugar-based antifreeze, so it's completely environmentally safe. And we'll get that last gallon and we'll do the same thing again. We'll just dump it down some of the jets. And all we're doing is just making sure any water that's trapped in there is protected with the antifreeze. And as you can see, when I'm dumping it in here, it's actually, if you watch, it's actually spilling out around here a little bit. That's telling me that this jet is connected to that jet, and we know that we're completely full. And of course, now that I said that, it's not going to happen. But either way, all this antifreeze that we're putting in here, this is just an extra precaution. After sucking all that out and having the pumps disconnected and all that, there's really nowhere for the water to be trapped. This is just an extra precaution, something that I've done every year. I winterize about 8 different hot tubs every year, and by doing what I just did, I've never lost one yet. So there you go. That's the full process. I'm just going to put the panels and stuff all back on, and it's ready to go for winter. Get it covered up and sealed up for the season. Well, there you go, guys. We got all the panels and everything put back on the hot tub, the filter and everything all put back together, the cover back on it for the season. It's fully winterized. We should be good to go for winter. If you found this video helpful, please like and subscribe to the channel. It really helps us grow. Have a great day, and remember, you got this. We'll see you on the next one, guys. Thanks.